It turns out that, just a moment ago, as time passed, Bai Li Chongqing suddenly stepped forward from the crowd. According to regional regulations, if the captain were to perish, the vice-captain would temporarily assume the captain's duties. Bai Li Chongqing's immediate priority was to report the situation in Tianhai City to the region. He approached Bian Junwu, carefully removing his communication device. Afterward, he solemnly turned to Wu Di and said, "Compose yourself, we will soon lead the team back home." Then, Bai Li Chongqing reported everything that had happened to Zhu Zheng. After receiving the news, Zhu Zheng was silent for a moment before saying, "Has he really gone? Perhaps it's for the best. As a warrior, dying on the battlefield may be his true destiny." Bai Li Chongqing then asked Zhu Zheng, "What is our next plan of action? Will we still release the God of Death in Tianhai City?" Zhu Zheng stared at the large screen in front of him for a long time before responding cheerfully. "Since the crisis in Tianhai City has been resolved, there is no need to waste our resources. Bring Bian Junwu back, and while you're at it, ask the locals of Tianhai City if any of them would like to live in Blizzard City. If so, bring them along." With that, Bai Li Chongqing received the instructions, hung up the phone, and immediately announced the region's decision to the leaders. Upon hearing the news, the crowd breathed a collective sigh of relief, as they no longer had to worry about the God of Death. Even Jong Yi felt a sense of relief. At that moment, Zheng Yixian slowly approached the group, his hands clasped together in silent prayer. To outsiders, it seemed as though he was bidding farewell to Bian Junwu for the last time. But when Zhang Yi saw Zheng Yixian, his mind raced. Zhang Yi knew this man was likely the strategist of the Bai Sect. After a moment of contemplation, Zhang Yi reached into his spatial ring and pulled out Longming, an action that nearly scared Xing Tian to death. Zhang Yi was staring at him intently, while Xing Tian stepped back in alarm, anxiously asking, "Zhang Yi, what are you doing?" Zhang Yi, with a fierce expression, responded, "What am I doing? I'm here to take your life." With that, he activated his eightfold speed and charged at Xing Tian. In the next instant, a sharp sound echoed as the adamantium-forged blade struck, a blade so powerful that, combined with Zhang Yi's abilities, could easily cut through steel. Even a human body could not withstand Zhang Yi's furious strike. However, the person struck was not Xing Tian, but Zheng Yixian in the distance. Zheng Yixian looked down at the tip of the sword protruding from his chest. Bewildered, he couldn't figure out where the strike had come from, but as he recalled the moment Zhang Yi charged at Xing Tian, he had seen the sword's blade mysteriously disappear, leaving him puzzled. Now, he realized how naive he had been. Zhang Yi, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, withdrew Longming, and due to the presence of blood grooves, the wound became even more severe. Time passed, and soon Zheng Yixian could no longer hold on, collapsing to the ground with blood continuously spilling from the corners of his mouth. Fortunately, at the last moment, he used his telekinetic abilities to protect his vital areas, preventing immediate death. However, this sudden turn of events caused everyone present to tense up. Xiao Honglian pointed at Zhang Yi and demanded, "Zhang Yi, what exactly are you doing?" Everyone was now waiting for an explanation from Zhang Yi. Although their relationship with the Bai Sect had never been harmonious, they had just fought together to defeat the Shichao. Zhang Yi's sudden lethal attack left them feeling a sense of betrayal. As the atmosphere became more tense, Uncle Vu and the others immediately stood by Zhang Yi's side, prepared for battle at any moment. Meanwhile, the investigators observing the situation remained silent, as this was an internal conflict within Tianhai City, one they had no intention of intervening in. The tension on the battlefield was palpable, and if Zhang Yi didn't provide a reasonable explanation, they would surely seize the opportunity to take him down. After all, Zhang Yi's actions were far too dangerous, posing a significant threat to the leadership of Tianhai City. Just moments earlier, the battle between Zhang Yi and the various families of Tianhai City was on the verge of breaking out. Among them, the reaction of Huang Mao from the Bai Sect was the most intense. He wanted nothing more than to charge forward and tear Zhang Yi to pieces. Fortunately, he still had some rationality left. Or else, with his mediocre skills, Zhang Yi could send him to the afterlife with just a flick of his fingers. On the other hand, Zheng Yixian had already lost the strength to face Zhang Yi in battle, so he could only use the current situation to smear Zhang Yi's reputation, hoping to unite the families against him. Seeing this, the various leaders began to express their opinions, stating that if Zhang Yi could not provide a satisfactory explanation, they would not stand idly by. Hearing this, Zhang Yi smirked coldly and asked, "How long are you going to keep up this charade? Do you really think you'll return to the Bai Sect alive today?" Zhang Yi then spoke clearly and slowly. The true mastermind behind Shichao's fall is none other than the treacherous Bai Sect, controlling everything from the shadows. His words were as shocking as a declaration of the god of death. Xiao Honglian could hardly believe her ears. What? The zombie crisis was caused by the Bai Shui sect? Before Zheng Yixian could respond, Huang Mao from the Bai Shui sect burst out in anger, shouting at Zhong Yi, "What nonsense are you spouting? Zhong Yi, don't you know how many followers our Bai Shui sect lost because of Xichao?" The leaders nodded in agreement, as they had witnessed it firsthand. At the time, the sect had tens of thousands of members. But after the zombie crisis, their numbers had dwindled to less than 1,000, a devastating loss. Zheng Yixian turned pale. Any thoughts of his injury were long forgotten. Fear gripped his heart as he realized that Zhong Yi had uncovered their secret. Summoning some unknown strength, he roared at Zhong Yi, "Stop spreading lies. You just want to take Tianhai City for yourself. Do you take us all for fools?" Zhong Yi merely laughed and replied, "Whether I'm lying or not, the truth will soon be revealed. But you, Zheng Yixian, what are you so afraid of?" Without giving Zheng Yixian a chance to respond, Zhong Yi continued to unravel the entire story. "Do you all know that Bing Po was a massive deception from the start? Anyone who consumed Bing Po would, upon their death, have all their abilities absorbed back into Yuan Kongye. From the very beginning, the followers of the Bai Shui sect were nothing but pawns, for they were of no value to Yuan Kongye except for their abilities. What truly matters to him is this undead army, utterly obedient to his will, far superior to ordinary humans." Zhong Yi's words silenced the crowd. The information was too explosive. Everyone stared intently at Zheng Yixian, hoping for some kind of answer. But Zheng Yixian was a seasoned player and showed no signs of weakness. Merely pointing at Zhong Yi and angrily declaring, "This is slander. If we had the ability to create zombies, why would we have allowed you to oppress us in the first place? And you've said so much. But where's your concrete evidence? If you have no proof, then I suspect you're the mastermind behind all of this." Seeing Zheng Yixian's desperate struggle, Zhong Yi revealed the intelligence about the bloodvine in the abandoned building. From Zhong Yi's words, the crowd learned that the bloodvine was used to cultivate the Lion King, who possessed the ability to spread viruses and create zombies. The reason Zheng Yixian hadn't played this card earlier was either intentional or because the bloodvine wasn't fully mature. The key evidence was in the Bai Shui sect's abandoned building. A simple inspection would reveal the truth. Zheng Yixian continued to struggle, trying to buy more time for Yuan Kongye to merge. He gritted his teeth and responded, "If there's nothing there, how will you explain stabbing me? You can't just walk away after that." Zhong Yi spread his hands and chuckled darkly. "What do you want from me? If I'm wrong, feel free to come after me with all you've got. How about that?" Zhong Yi's shameless attitude left Zheng Yixian speechless, while the other factions refrained from passing further judgment, as they were now only concerned with whether Zhong Yi's claims were true. Meanwhile, as Zheng Yixian was still formulating a response, Huang Mao from the Bai Shui sect, full of resentment, said, "Fine, Zhong Yi, our Bai Shui sect has always walked the righteous path. We're not afraid of you. But if it turns out you're wrong, don't blame us if the entire city of Tianhai comes after you." His words nearly drove Zheng Yixian to the brink, as he frantically waved his hand to stop the Bai Shui sect followers. "No, they must not go near the bloodvine. It's the lifeblood of our sect. Zhong Yi is targeting the bloodvine." However, the elite members present were no fools. His reaction only raised further suspicion, especially within the investigation team. Their first thought was, could there be a bigger secret hidden here? Just a few minutes earlier, a group of priests had been confused, looking towards Zheng Yixian with uncertainty. At first, they did not understand why the high priest was acting this way, until they heard that Zhong Yi intended to seize their divine magic. Only then did they react. Following that, the Bai Shui sect's followers became furious, as the bloodvine was seen as their food source. Losing the bloodvine would leave them without sustenance, and Zheng Yixian exploited this fear, issuing orders to the followers. "Everyone, attack together. Let them see that our Bai Shui sect is not a weakling to be trampled on." Stirred by anger that had been brewing for too long, the followers charged at Zhong Yi like ignited gunpowder, not caring about the consequences. To everyone's surprise, Zhong Yi did not have Liang Yu and the others deal with these minor annoyances. Instead, he took a step forward, saying, "Enough. I don't have time to waste with you. I won't play your games today." Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhong Yi's eyes began to glow with a faint blue light, and an overwhelmingly terrifying aura began to emanate from him. This power gave the others the illusion that Bian Junwu had come back to life. Almost simultaneously, those charging at the front suddenly felt an overwhelming spatial force, so strong that it distorted the air around them. In the blink of an eye, a dozen of the powered individuals were shredded into pieces, their bodies crumbling like tofu, disappearing into the snow without any chance to react. This scene left Zheng Yixian frozen in shock. As one of Tianhai City's top-tier power users, He fully understood what this meant. The sudden turn of events scared everyone stiff. Even the usually brave Huang Mao found his legs trembling uncontrollably. But it wasn't just the Bai Shui sect members who were shaken. Even Bai Li Chongqing watched in awe, unable to believe the level of power Jong Yi possessed. The other leaders, meanwhile, were too stunned to speak, finally realizing that Jong Yi had been hiding his true strength all along. At that moment, Xu Chunlei suddenly pointed into the distance and shouted, "Boss, that guy Zheng is running away." Hearing this, Zhang Yi immediately looked in the direction of the voice and saw Zheng Yixian using his telekinetic powers to escape alone. Zhang Yi's expression changed, and he turned to Bai Li Chongqing and the others, saying, "This is bad. He's going back to report to Yuan Konye. If he informs them of what happened today, we could all die." Despite this, Bai Li Chongqing fixed his gaze on Zhang Yi. "Why should we trust you? At least give us one reason." Zhang Yi calmly responded, "Believe me, you have nothing to lose. Whether it's true or not, you'll find out by going there yourself." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Yi summoned a snow vehicle and, along with Uncle Lu and the others, gave chase, leaving the rest standing there, dumbfounded in the cold wind. After pondering for a moment, Bai Li Chongqing made his decision. "Let's go. We'll follow and see for ourselves. We can't let the captain die without knowing why. And it's about time we put an end to the issues in Tianhai City." The other leaders shared a similar sentiment. After all, since Zhang Yi was the one who proposed the matter, going along to see for themselves wouldn't hurt. Thus, they all headed in the direction of the Bai Shui sect. The power of Bian Junwu's abilities successfully returned to the body of Yuan Konye, the one who had invested in the evil cult, now possessing epsilon-level power. Just how strong had Yuan Konye become? And how would Zhang Yi and the others face him? Meanwhile, inside the St. John's Cathedral of the Bai Shui sect, Yuan Konye knelt devoutly before the statue, praying. Suddenly, a surge of power returned to his body. His eyes flashed with curiosity. Whose ability was this? The power of Tongshu? He paused, then smiled greedily. "Isn't this the ability of Bian Junwu from the investigation team? Excellent. Bian Junwu's abilities have finally come to me." But in the next second, his brows furrowed. Bian Junwu had sacrificed himself. But who had killed him? In all of Tianhai City, who dared to kill an investigation team member like Bian Junwu? Yuan Konye began to feel that things were spiraling out of control. At the same time, Zheng Yixian flew in rapidly from the distant sky, landing heavily on the ground, his injuries worsening. He had to inform Yuan Konye about Zhang Yi before it was too late. Covered in blood, Zheng Yixian staggered toward the cathedral. The guards stationed at the entrance saw the bloodied figure and rushed over, asking, "High Priest, what happened? Do you need help?" Zheng Yixian, his face darkened, said nothing, but shot the guards a menacing glare, thinking, "Insects, don't waste my time." The guard was so intimidated by Zheng Yixian's look that his legs nearly gave way. With a loud creak, Zheng Yixian pushed open the heavy doors of the cathedral. Yuan Konye turned around abruptly, startled to see Zheng Yixian drenched in blood. "Who did this to you?" Seeing the person he adored, Zheng Yixian used the last of his strength, but his body finally gave in, collapsing. Yuan Konye hurried over to catch him, his normally cold expression now tinged with concern. Reaching out, he used his powers to heal Zheng Yixian. But suddenly, Zheng Yixian grabbed Yuan Konye's wrist. "Don't waste your energy on me. My injuries are too severe. Our secret has been exposed. Zhang Yi and his team will be here soon. You must survive." With trembling hands, Zheng Yixian reached out, trying to caress Yuan Konye's face, but his arm fell limply by his side as his eyes slowly closed. Dying in the arms of his beloved was, in a way, a blessing for him. Staring at the now lifeless Zheng Yixian, Yuan Konye was filled with sorrow. "You will come back to me in another form, won't you?" he whispered. After absorbing Zheng Yixian's power, Yuan Konye turned back to the situation at hand. Shortly after, Zhang Yi and his team arrived at the Bai Shui sect camp, parking directly in front of the abandoned building that housed the Bloodvine. Zhang Yi led the group to the entrance, saying, "Follow me, the truth lies inside."